in all these episodes, we talk about how people market their business, and we talk about the variety of ways in which you can do that. And Paul, very similar to me, is a relationship-based marketer. And I'm learning more. These mortgage people are really good at maintaining a relationship with their past clients. And if you're interested in learning how you can take advantage of your past client database, Paul gives a lot of good insight on how he does that. Check out this relationship-based marketing plan by Paul Chiasson. You said a lot about relationships, so I have an idea that's where we're going to end up going here. But there's a lot of different ways to generate business. Like you have some mortgage lenders that are paying for leads. A lot of them can be cold calling.
Right.
Some of them are really, really good at staying in touch with their past database, and it's very relationship driven. So talk a little about how you've grown your business over your career and what relationships mean to you.
So I'm excited about this, all right? Because one of the things I do, and this is not a hidden secret, anybody that's ever done business with someone in the past should have some form of a database or some type of connection, right? Whether it's through an email marketing campaign or just old school, picking up the phone and calling.
Yeah.
I dedicate 4 hours per week, solid, time-blocked hours per week, calling my database, checking in, thanking them for the business that we had, letting them know what's coming up. It's amazing how people's lives change, right?
Times and
so,
circumstance,
6 months ago, I may contact a client just to check in, and a lot of times it's easy if they're a first-time home buyer, if they're a primary applicant. I always say, "Hey, did you file your homestead exemption?" Right? Yeah. Because that's an easy reminder.
Sure.
And I cannot tell you how many times they said, "Oh my God, Mr. Paul, thank you so much, for calling me." But I'll go back 10 years, and a lot of times the culture of my database, I can call just about anybody anytime, and they say, "Hey, what's up, Paul?"
Yeah.
Right? Because I've been doing this for years. But the dedicated time to me, we work so hard as loan officers, especially in this challenging market, right? Where we're going after that next deal. We're going after that next relationship. We're always going after that next. But we forget about all the great experiences on people we've already done.
Equity you have.
Think about that. All the I love that. Can I borrow that?
Yeah, of course.
Relationship equity is tremendous. And so I dedicate, and I mean hard code, time block, 4 hours a week, right? I feel like that's not a lot of time to give. And a lot of them are just gratitude calls. I'm not calling to sell them anything.
Yeah.
Okay? But I cannot tell you how many loans have come up unexpectedly by just making those gratitude calls.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Of course.
If there's no agenda, it's pure gratitude and love.
Do you have a script? Not a script, but is there a purpose to the call before you call, or is it just a hey, just checking to see how things are going?
So I don't have a script.
Yeah.
Because I think every client, you have different levels of relationship, right? If they have multiple clients that you've done business with, a lot of times it's, "Hey, Paul, what's up? I'm at work right now. Can I call you back?" Click,
Yeah.
And then you've got those clients that maybe you had a great experience with. You closed them one time. That's a different conversation, right? And then I may go a little bit more annual mortgage checkup conversation, like, "Hey, just checking in with you, making sure you're changing your filters, every 90 days. And I do go over some of those housekeeping items. But to me, it's added value. I've already transacted the loan. I've already gotten paid whatever I got paid on it, right? And that particular moment in time builds value. It's like, why would my loan officer call me and do this? What's the agenda? There is no agenda. It's gratitude. Yeah. It's gratitude. It's reminder. It's best practice. It's, hey, you're 1 year in your home. How's that warranty that you purchased at closing? How did that help you? Right? Yeah. Those type of conversations. And to me, I've been talking a lot with my business partners, referral partners, agents, and I'm like, you have got so much of a track record of success in doing what you do, right? And how often do you go back and make those gratitude calls to those people? I mean, you made a lot of home buyers' dreams come true. Like you may have made that investor, that was their first cash flow property, right? I mean, you did a lot to enhance people's lives. They're going to probably take your call.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
Does that make sense? And you're not selling anything. It's pure gratitude. It's showing them love. But here's the key. At the end, I always say this. If there's anybody in your life that's interested in maybe refinancing, purchasing, or maybe starting their investment journey, please keep me in mind.
Yeah.
And that's it. That is absolutely it. And I say, have a blessed day. And then I go on to the next one. And it would take
making those calls yourself.
Of course I am.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's, it's interesting you say that, because we have some loan officers outside of Louisiana, Mississippi that actually have someone that makes those calls.
Yeah.
And I tread lightly because, in my opinion, it loses the impact.
The genuine nature of it.
It does if you've got someone else making those phone calls for you. So no, I own that.
Yeah.
No, and this is, I think,
practice.
what's important is, and we'll talk about systems later, but
Yeah.
there's a level that I want to be able to delegate everything else but those types of phone calls.
Right.
The,
Those
the
practices.
relationship, those types of practices,
Yep.
right? Because that is where, I mean, and you bring up a phenomenal point of all of the past clients you've won them over and done business with, they know that you fulfilled your promise.
Right.
That you said you were going to help them do X, Y, Z, and they did that, right? There's a difference between customer, like getting a new customer and customer retention, right?
Yep.
Too many people only ever focus on the hard work of getting a new customer.
Yes.
They neglect customer retention.
Look at that referral curve, for a new client compared to someone that's already done business with you that had a good experience, right? I mean, that referral curve is long in some
100%.
cases, right?
Exactly.
And not saying, don't get me wrong, we take on new clients every day. Right. Yeah. But you restart that process of that know, like, and trust factor. Right. And letting them know, because they're checking your reviews. They're checking you out on social media. They're making sure that you're putting out good stuff. Yeah. And I'm going to tell you right now, I encourage them to do that.
Yeah. Go check me out.
Go check me out on LinkedIn. Go check me out on TikTok. Right. I'm serious. Go check me out. I have been meticulous about my own personal brand and the brand of the company when I'm putting out anything, right? And so I encourage that. And what's interesting is a lot of times they come back and say, okay, well, I checked out your reviews and I like that video you did. That was really, really funny. Okay, what's my next step?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
but it's important to have all those resources available to you so that you can point to that, right? I mean,
Correct.
Having the branding, the social media, having the reviews,
Yes.
those are actual tools that you were saying, hey, because those reviews don't happen by themselves, right? You've
Right.
got to ask for them. You've got to
be intentional for sure.
be intentional with those so that you
Correct.
can then
I
say,
like that.
hey, go. I love that when someone says, hey, go check me out. I love that because it's like, hey, look, my reputation and my message that stays consistent. It stands for itself.
Yeah.
I'm more than happy to pass any sniff test that you may have.
Yeah, and I got a giver's mindset. So there's a lot of loan officers, different levels of their business. Some newer loan officers that maybe don't have that extensive database or that those former clients to go back to, and I let them know that we all heard the tortoise and the hare story, right?
Yeah.
I've always been the tortoise. Okay, I mean, slow and steady wins the race. I don't want to say wins like we're here because it's a journey, man. It never ends. It never ends. Even when you retire, my dad tells me it doesn't end.
Yeah.
My dad still wakes up thinking about, the bell going off in the class and having to, go because he was a disciplinarian. So he's still having those dreams and he's at 82 years old, right?
Yeah.
So it's a journey, right?
Mm-hmm.
But, we read that story to our kids and, we think, oh, it's cute. But it has a powerful lesson in life.
Yeah.
And I feel that in business, what's critical is teaching people the mindset of flipping the mindset and seeing out their lenses a little differently when approaching business, right? Because I find that I got to be careful how I say this, but everybody wants things boom, boom, boom. Well, when you go and you're applying for a home loan, right? It can't be that. And yes, we have all the technology and all the marketing that makes them feel good. I love our application process, our online process. We've got a lot of automation built into our LOS, and all that feels good. But at the end of the day, they're buying a home, right? And they're going to have certain expenses and certain things. So we take all that very serious. We were very, very gracious that we've stayed on top of the technology and the marketing front. And, I like I said, it's just it's a different mindset, but I think it's an important mindset. And when people do that, what's very interesting is you see it click.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, it's kind of works, you know, and then they stick to it. Where people fall off is in the area of consistency.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right. So they stay consistent for 3 months, they see some progress, and then they quit doing having those systems, those committed systems, those processes in their business that have started to take root. They stop that because they've closed a couple loans, and then their business starts to fall off.